to live together, learn to live together, and face challenges with resilience and peaceful intentions. To our young participants, thank you very much in advance for the artwork and the contributions that you'll be making during these 2 days. I hope that the project inspires you to continue striving for creative strategies to address violence and introduce and defend peace. So thank you very much again for our wonderful friends from Cartooning for Peace and the cartoonist. I wish you every success in this excellent opportunity. Thank you very much. Back to you, Marianne.
Thank you so much, Dr. Yokozaki. That was beautiful. Thank you so much. Next, we would like to invite President Keck, the president of Cartooning for Peace, to come and give a few words about the organization and mission and goals.
Hello, everybody. Good morning. Can you all hear me?
Yes, loud and clear.
First of all, I'm glad to see you all. Some faces I didn't know, some other I already knew. Hello to my fellow co-workers, cartoonists from the other side of the world. Very glad to see you all in these very strange times we're all living. First of all, before saying a word about cartooning, I'd like to emphasize how logical it is for us to be in that program, working with ICBA UNESCO, because supporting teachers' policy is, as I will explain just after that, is what we do all year long, working with teachers and students. And also being part of that program, silencing the guns. Well, you know, our name is Cartooning for Peace, so trying to prevent violence and establish dialogue is also what we keep doing all year long. So we're very proud to be here, and it feels very natural for us to be among you. Cartooning for Peace shortly was born in 2006, as you can see on the slide. At first, it came after a conference organized by the UNO and Jean Plantu, the famous French cartoonist, to speak about all the violence that happened in the world after the first publication of the Mahomet Prophet's caricatures in the press, first the Danish press and then the rest of European press. As you remember, there were riots, there were dead people in several countries, and a strong protest from part of the Muslim world against the publication of these cartoons. So the conference was about that, and Kofi Annan, who was at the time, the late Kofi Annan, was at the time the president of UNO, General Secretary of UNO, told Plantu that this problem of dialogue, specifically about this issue, but also about, let's say, the tolerance of other cultures would remain, that it was not a short-term problem, it was a long-term problem. He was very right. And so Plantu created Cartooning for Peace with the very goal of using cartoons to promote human rights, to promote dialogue, freedom of expression, freedom of speech, and, well, let's say to try to just live together, although we're all different, although we have different opinions. Today, Cartooning for Peace is a network of more than 200 cartoonists all over the world in about 70 countries. Every year we welcome new cartoonists. So it was 22 new cartoonists in several countries that were admitted this summer. And what we do basically is, let's say, we have three big missions. We're based in Paris, but it's an international association. There are 7 staff members. I've been the president from 1 year. Of course, the president for the rest of the time was Jean Plantu. I am myself a cartoonist. Sorry, I should have started by that. I am myself a cartoonist for a French newspaper called L'Opinion. So I do a daily cartoon and give some of my time to be with Cartooning for Peace. Basically, what we do is 3 different things. We do editorial and media partnerships. That's to promote cartoons. So we have partnership with different medias which allow us to show cartoons on TVs, speak about them in radios, show them in newspapers. in several countries, including France, of course. What we also do, maybe we should move to the next slide. I don't know who's behind the slide. Yes, thank you. What we also do is editorial work. We have a website, different newsletters. Of course, we're also present on social networks, and we often produce small articles to speak about such and such issue of the week, and always showing cartoons made by our members, sometimes also cartoonists who are not members actually, show how they reacted to the news, to what happened in that week, to the themes that we're speaking about with cartoons. In that editorial section, we also publish books. So far, mostly in French language, but sometimes we also translate them. We publish books about themes. So the latest book that we have published, of course, the one we published before was about women, and we do that in France with Gallimard, which is a famous French edition company. And we organize, of course, that's also the next slide, please. We organize exhibitions in several parts of the world. The exhibitions are basically a way for us not only to show cartoons all around to a larger audience than only people who are on our newsletters, but it's also a way, as I will explain a bit after, to prepare students who can see the exhibitions for the workshops and the training that we do afterwards. So first our mission is editorial, producing exhibitions, book, media presence. So that's promoting the cartoons and the cartoonists themselves. The second part is advocacy and support. So what does that mean? It means that, as you can see on the next slide, it means that we try to promote human rights through cartoons, and the very important fact that cartoonists must be free of doing their job, and they must not be harmed or threatened for any reason. So we attend several international forums or events that speak about, well, freedom of the press, freedom of expression, living together. And on that slide, you can see an example. We were present at the World Democracy Forum in Strasbourg. That was about 1 year ago. At the time, in a very ancient time where we could all gather for real, you know, with physical presence. So we were in Strasbourg 1 year ago. And so we go to different of the events in a way to convince decision makers, whether they are politicians or let's say company leaders, convince them of the importance of freedom of speech. And what we also do in that advocacy and support section is we try to follow very closely what happens to our members or also to other cartoonists who are not our members around the world, because as you probably know, several of them are threatened all the time. This year only, we have, I think we have spotted 63, something like 63 different cartoonists who have been threatened in the different countries. As we can see on the next slide, I'll give you examples. But so the examples you have on that slide were, it's not this year, it's a bit before. For example, Pedro Molina, you can see on the left side of the slide, is a cartoonist from Nicaragua who actually was threatened by his own government, who gave his address on the social networks because he was considered as an enemy of the nation. And so him and his family had to move. They actually went to the United States. They had to move abroad because his life was in danger. Denis Lopatin, that you can also see on that slide, is the Russian cartoonist who had to leave Russia because of simply a cartoon he made about some politician lady and religion. And he was also very threatened. He had to leave his country. He's now living in France and trying to make a living with his cartoons, which for a Russian cartoonist in France is not that easy. These are only two very strong examples. They don't all have to leave their countries, of course, but we have many, many threats. So of course, we registered them, we communicate about it, and we try to help them as much as we can. for, I don't know, legal fees, or trying to help them with making contact with the proper associations. We work with Reporters Sans Frontières, Reporters Without Borders, with, of course, Amnesty International, with the Cartoonist Rights Network International, several kinds of associations, to try to help them best we can. And we publish every year reports on the situation of cartoonists worldwide, trying to well, let people know, create awareness about that problem, that cartoonists can be threatened all over the world, knowing that the new trend, they are sometimes threatened by their authorities, by world leaders who are not, let's say, in favor of democracy and freedom of speech. But now people also are threatened simply on the social networks, and it's not only, it's not only insults. It's sometimes very, very frightening things that we can see. We'll find you. We know where you live. We know where what school your kids are going to. So it's a really difficult time right now for cartoonists, and we try to support them as best as we can. And at last, the third part, after editorial, advocacy, and support, the third part of our action, which is actually a very big part, is education. We go to first of all, we trained cartoonists so they know how they can work with students and teachers in classes. So we have one training a year for cartoonists, and we gather them and give them ways of having workshops in schools, and also sometimes in prisons. We go to prisons too. And then they go, and we go in, let's say, more than, in France only, it's probably more than 100 workshops a year in different schools. And it's basically, the method is we use cartoons to speak about broadly human rights topics, the inequalities in the world, the children's rights, environment issues, so on and so forth. A daily cartoon to deliver to my paper today, and I have to look for ideas now. So if you have any idea on the urgency of finding a vaccine in France and the rest of the world, you can send me your humoristic ideas and I'll do the cartoon. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Kak, and hello to everybody. Okay. So
I think we're going to do a little bit more from ICBA, and then we'll hand it over to Cartooning for Peace for the rest of the session. Is that all right?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, sorry about that.
No
Thank
worries.
you so much, President Kek, for your words, and I hope that you find the inspiration for your cartoon and right back to work. So from one work session to the next. So thank you so much. It's very inspiring, very informative, and I think it gave a clear overlay of all of the work that you're engaging in to the young cartoonists and the peace builders who are in the call today. So we do appreciate it. We're going to take a group picture while everyone is still here with us right now. So this is a custom we like to do to make sure that we have a memory of the day, and before everyone has to go to their next responsibilities. So I'm going to stop the screen share and ask everyone to please turn on your cameras for a moment. It'll just take a moment. Okay. And let's see, we have, most everyone has their camera on. A few more people, could you please turn your cameras on? We'd really appreciate it. Thank you. Just give me a few moments because it's so many people, we have to take several pictures. Okay, 1, 2, 3. One, 2, 3. All right, thank you. That's the picture. Before we move on to the next presentation, I'd like to recognize the presence of Mr. Saliu Sal. He's our Senior Program Coordinator here at UNESCO ICBA, and we do very much appreciate his presence here with us right now. Now, I'm going to invite Jerusalem Azmarov, who is our project officer here at UNESCO ICBA, working in peace education, to speak about some of the work and the initiatives of ICBA. And I'm going to share my screen. Just give me one moment while I bring it up.
Thank you, Marian. You can go to the next slide. Good afternoon to our youth participants and also for our cartoonists and colleagues from Cartooning for Peace, and good morning for those who are a bit far from our continent, Africa. And as Marian said, my name is Jerusalem and I work for UNESCO ICBA and I'm coordinating peace education programs. So I just want to give you an overview on what ICBA does and what ICBA means under the UNESCO umbrella. So the International Institute for Capacity Building in Africa is a Category 1 institute under UNESCO, and it's established in 1999 for the mandate to strengthen teacher policy and development in Africa. So basically, ICBA's mandate is to work on the area of teachers and policy, curriculum, and also on any capacity building works in considering teachers and across all levels. So we focus on the Sustainable Development Goal 4 and Education 2030 agenda, the CESA 1625, and also the AU 2063 agenda is our major preambles for the capacity building work that we do with teachers. Next slide, Marian. So basically, we do the capacity development work for teachers at 3 levels. And the first level is policy, and it's more on formulating the teachers' policy and social dialogues, and also defining the qualification standards and professional standards for teachers. And at the institution level, capacity building for the teacher training institutions, and also for the higher education, which train teachers at the secondary level, are our targets. And we also directly work with teachers across levels. And these are the short-term trainings that we provide for teachers. And our work is basically from early childhood to the higher education level. Next slide, Marian. So just to give you the overview of this program, we have a peace education program, what we call Peace, Resilience, and Prevention of Violent Extremism program in Africa. And this program has reached around 24 countries. I know some of the youth, excuse me, and some of the youth are also benefited from this program from the teacher training colleges. And basically the objective of this program is to generate evidence-based research on the area of violence and conflict in Africa, and to develop training materials that can be used at the teacher training college levels, at the higher education, and across the school level. And also this is done by training, by providing training for teachers. And we also target the curriculum and the program activities at the country level. Next slide, Marian. So we are also documenting good practices, and we also facilitate different experience sharings, and we also work with different partners, and Cartooning for Peace is one of our partners, working with mainly with the advocacy event and also on how to use cartoon for pedagogical purposes. So we work together, and mainly we work on the advocacy aspect of the I'm sorry, I have a kind of allergy. Don't worry, it's not COVID, but I have an allergy. So I usually have this cough. apologies for the interruption. So the aim of this specific webinar is one of the modality that we are thinking of to disseminate the message of peace among the youth, so that we use different platforms, and using art as one way of platform. Using art as a platform is one of the strategy we are working with, and this year we are advocating the African Union team on silencing the guns. And silencing the guns is one of the team under the 2063 agenda that is Africa we want and the Africa we aspire for. So under this silencing the gun team, the AU and member states are committed to advocate for ending all wars, civil conflicts, gender-based violence, violent conflicts, and preventing genocide. So under this preamble, we are also working on the advocacy and also on the awareness areas for youth programs. So the overall aim is on how to create a peaceful environment and how to build functioning mechanisms for peaceful resolution of conflicts, including conflicts that are happening at the higher education level and conflicts that are happening in the community level. So we are basically doing and promoting culture of peace and tolerance among youth and children by producing different training materials, by producing different messages that can be transmitted and used across the youth groups of the African community. So this is, as I said, one part of the activity that we have with Cartooning for Peace, using their expertise on the area. For the next two sessions, we will discuss on how to use art so that we can disseminate peace informations across our peers and also across continent. So if you want to get more information and more on the area of peace and peace education, you will find a training on our virtual campus. This is organized, this training is prepared for those youth who are going to be a future teachers, and also for those teachers who are teaching students at secondary and primary level of the education sector. And it's also open for those who are interested on the peace education programs. So it's a self-paced course for educators and teachers, and it will guide you on how you can engage, support, and educate students and even your peers and youth on the area of peace, resilience, and prevention of violence extremism. And it has, we will leave this presentation for you so that you will see how you can enroll to the course using the virtual campus. Next slide, Marian. So these are the steps. When you click, it will bring you the course, and you can click on the course and you can register, and it gives you an account, and you can finish the training anytime you want. You can start today and finish for the next 2 months or for the next 2 weeks, but I can assure you that it will take you at least 20 hours to finish the course. So it's a very interesting course. You can check it in our website, and if you have any problem also during while taking the course, you can contact the following person, and we will share this slide by the end of the discussion today. And this is what we have, but how we link the Cartooning for Peace, or how we link the art to the peace, and why we need to link the advocacy work of peace with art will be the second presentation that will be presented by Marian. And thank you very much for listening.
Thank you, Jerusalem. Thank you. The course that Jerusalem just mentioned, I can vouch for it. It's a very useful course. I took it recently. In fact, some of the ideas that I'm going to be speaking about now briefly will actually be from that course. So I encourage all of you young peace builders and leaders to consider taking it. It's very manageable to do with other responsibilities, and it takes about 20 hours. So I'm also vouching for the usefulness of that course. I'm going to give a brief overview about how this event today, how Cartooning for Peace, and specifically Cartooning to Silence the Guns, this particular event connects to some of ICPA's work in peace building and transformative pedagogy. So I want to ask you to consider a few questions. We will not be answering these directly, in the session today, but you will be considering these philosophical overall questions as you go forward today. So these questions, these guiding questions: how can cartoons promote peace? What can art teach us? And what makes a picture powerful? If you consider the answers to these questions, then you're going to be able to make more powerful, more evocative, and more effective peace-building messages in your capacity and in your contexts. So we invite you to consider these questions. How can cartoons promote peace? What can art teach us? And what makes a picture truly powerful? This is an example of a cartoon that I think is powerful when I look at it. It's by Bob Mankoff, who is a cartoonist from the New Yorker magazine. You can see that there are 3 fish of different sizes and different perspectives on the world. On one end, you have the big fish, viewing the world as a just, good place, because things are working out for the big fish. And then the fish in the middle, there is some justice in the world. Sometimes I am eaten, sometimes I am doing the eating. And then the small fish. However, you would have been able to get the message even without my explanation of their perspectives, because the caption says it. And I bet if we even took away the caption and left it empty, you'd be able to write some really effective captions for yourself. But you can see that this is a powerful cartoon. Now, I invite you to think about that cartoon a little bit more deeply. Of these 3 fish with their different perspectives on justice and on life, which of these 3 fish do you think would become violent? Which is the most likely fish to become violent? You can unmute yourself and just speak out your answer.
The big one.
Okay, we have the big one. Anyone else want to give a guess? Which one is the most likely to become violent?
The center one.
The middle one.
The middle one.
Okay. Anyone else?
I think the larger one.
Which one? The larger one?
Yeah, of course, the larger one.
The larger one.
I think the smallest one.
The smallest one. Okay, I'm going to ask you, why do you think the smallest one? Very briefly, why is the smallest one most likely to become violent?
Because I think the smallest one is more likely to become violent because it's dissatisfied by the injustice in the world, and therefore it feels that it has to be violent to achieve its satisfaction of justice in its own perspective.
Interesting, thank you. And someone who said the big fish is the most likely to be violent. Can someone explain why you said that? Why is the big fish the violent one? Can one of our youth speak up? Who thinks the big fish is violent? Please tell us briefly why, very briefly.
Yes, thank you very much. I am innocent. I think the large fish is the most likely the most violent because it feels the world needs something to be done and it's eagerly waiting to do something.
Thank you. Thank you. So you all mentioned some really interesting points. And the idea of the fish is that there are different kinds of violence. So if you look at the upper right-hand corner here in this triangle, we see different types of violence. When people lash out because they feel there's no justice in the world, they might be showing direct violence. What we see on the top of the iceberg here, on the bottom picture of the top of the iceberg, what we can see, the direct violence, people lashing out, using weapons to defend themselves or to take vengeance. But the big fish represents the subtle, quieter, invisible, structural violence that we can't see, but is supported by laws and systems which make it seem normal, like injustice in the form of policies that force refugees to leave their country and flee. That's an example of structural violence, but there's no one perpetrator, no one person, man or woman holding a gun. It's structural. And we have cultural violence where the reasons why we justify these things that we call normal or part of everyday life. Johan Galtung is a peace theorist, an academic who came up with this theory. And he also came up with a formula on the bottom, not to oversimplify it, but this formula is pretty enlightening, that peace is equity times empathy divided by unsolved conflict and unreconciled trauma. So if we know our math, we need to make sure that we have more equity and empathy so that the unsolved conflict and trauma doesn't subtract too much from it or divide it up too much. So a version of a formula for peace. I'm going to show a short video to explain some of these ideas to you. It won't take very long. I know we're looking at our time closely. And hopefully these ideas will, you'll remember them as you go into your groups today. Oh, I'm sorry.
We see the rise of violent extremism striking societies across the world. We see citizens turning weapons against their own. But why do people engage in such actions? No one is born a violent extremist. Violent extremists are made. They're fueled.
We were just brought up to say that the Protestants were different from us, and they were constantly putting Catholics down, and we were carrying that sort of stories from your parents and your uncles to say that as Catholics we weren't getting treated well, and that's why we were always hungry and cold. And by the time you're 16, you've just grown into never getting to know who you were beating up. We had the army there as well, and the police, so we had like 3 groups that we didn't like. They were all fighting for Queen and country, and so we're there fighting just to get our rights, whatever it was.
He was always kind of different, and when he was in school, he would wear a bandana on his head, and he had a long tail that came down his back. One day, he got attacked in the playground, and they cut off his tail. And that was the first and only time he was ever bullied.
I was just traumatized beyond traumatized, and I'm sure some seeds were planted by that incident. A reinforcement of the idea that violence is kind of just a fact of life and a way of life. You either run with it or you get run over by it. I don't want to be in that position again.
If I look at the reasons behind me joining this particular radical group, I was unable to think for myself because of the way I was controlled as a child. This is probably my way of wanting to be controlled again, right? I couldn't think for myself. I had to be the follower. I needed a leader. I needed someone to be in control.
There is no single pathway for radicalization or speed at which it happens. It is a combination of socioeconomic, psychological, and institutional factors that lead to violent extremism. Push factors drive individuals to violent extremism, such as marginalization, inequality, discrimination, the feeling of being persecuted, poor education, denial of rights, and other grievances. Pull factors attract individuals to violent extremism, such as well-organized violent extremist groups that provide services, revenue, and employment. They also claim to offer a place to belong and a supportive environment. Contextual factors provide a breeding ground for violent extremist groups, such as fragile states, the lack of rule of law, corruption, and criminality. Security is often the first step to curbing violent extremism, but it is not a long-term solution. We need prevention to tackle the roots of violent extremism, and education is key to prevention. It can redress inequalities that fuel violent extremism and it helps learners to make informed decisions and engage responsibly. Action is needed at all levels of education to develop an effective prevention strategy. We need inclusion for students to develop a sense of belonging and respect for diversity. Resilience to build students' capacities to overcome hardships and challenges. We need safety and well-being in schools so all learners feel safe and supported. Procedures to appropriately respond to the needs of persons at risk. And finally, partnerships are needed between education institutions and the community at large for effective and comprehensive interventions. As educators, we have a key role to play to prevent violent extremism. Let us not miss this opportunity to make a difference.
All right, and I'm going to leave you with a quote by Marian Tursky. He is a Holocaust survivor who witnessed firsthand one of the most tragic manifestations of violence and extremism in this, last century, even including this one. So I end with this quote by Marian Tursky.
The speech of hate, which is a background, a basis for humiliation. If we start reducing, not fully, immediately ending it, reducing the hate speech, and trying to understand the other's point of view. The other's means not mine, but try to comprehend it, to understand it. This could give birth to empathy, to understanding how is the other people who are different from me, who behave different like me, whose way of life is different of mine, whose believing are different than mine, how he is and why he is, to try to understand him. So if there would be a message, I think this is the main message.
Thank you so much for your attention, for your patience. And now I would like to hand it over to our team from Cartooning for Peace, to Sylvain. He is the Program and International Development Manager. Please take it from here, Sylvain. Thank you so much.
Okay, can you hear me? Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, perfect. Thank you, everyone. Thank you for all these introductory speeches, and thank you for this presentation, Marianne, which is quite, I guess, helpful for our participants as well, as it will drive them during all this day. Just wanted to come back on a few, and that's why I put this slide, because that's a big part of the work we are going to do today. Actually, Cartooning for Peace works on educational activities for a little while, and has been, as Kak told us, created pedagogical tools, train cartoonists and sometimes educators, teachers on their pedagogy using cartoons for education, media and information literacy, among others, and also to organize meetings between cartoonists and participants, youth participants, a bit older. And that's why I wanted to end up and start. I come back to that because actually that's what we are going to do today, and you are going to discuss with cartoonists. And part of this project we have implemented, where cartoonists have had the opportunity to be in touch with their audience, I would say, have been implemented in a few projects we have already carried out in the past. Jerusalem told about one we've done in Ethiopia, but we've worked as well in Burkina Faso, the Ivory Coast, Morocco, and Tunisia, using press cartoons in schools, in university, and so on, to work on freedom of expression, on awareness raising of human rights topics, and also to let's say, create a contact and an encounter with cartoonists for them also to explain their work. So that's the list of projects I've put here. We will send you the list in case you want to go through them, because we have done quite a few things in Africa for the past years. And also I wanted to show you that because I also wanted, because they haven't said a word yet, but there is a reason for that. I will come to that a bit later. But I just wanted to thank them for joining us and introduce the cartoonists who are going to work with you during those 2 sessions, the first one taking place today and then the second one on Friday. So we welcome Ala Satir from Sudan, cartoonist from Sudan, Yemi, who's from Ethiopia. Then we have our colleague and friend Tayo as well, coming from Nigeria. And finally, Zapiro, who comes from South Africa. So those cartoonists, you will, as I said, take the time and have the time during one of the coming exercises to get introduced to who they are and what they do. So that's why I'm not going into too many details there, because as I said, it's part of an exercise which is coming. And so, as we already said, the idea today, Jerusalem and Marian already spoke about that, but the idea is to kind of use press cartoons for peace awareness raising and also campaigning for peace and anti-violence. And so here what we are going to do is to explain you what is a press cartoon, how you can read it, how as well you can understand one, and also how you can make one. Then, and it will help you to start working with cartoons and trying to express your own ideas and the way you want to tackle violence and you want to promote peace using press cartoons. So that's a bit the idea of this 2 days webinar. The idea is to end up with a campaign, your campaign in cartoons that we are going probably to publish in the coming weeks. So that's a bit the spirit of this work, today's session. But as we have already spoken a lot, and still we haven't introduced you, we wish to do an exercise where you are going to introduce yourselves in a few words while choosing cartoons from a selection of cartoons I'm going to share right now in the chat. Just bear in mind that it's a selection we have done, and if you, of course, this selection is, as I can say, is also a selection that we only use for this session. So if you don't mind not using it for other purposes as an exercise, that would be lovely, because it's in, that's a selection we've made, and we really don't want it to be spread all over the web, I would say. So it's important to keep it as well in mind. So I'm just going to share it on my laptop. We should have in a few seconds. Okay, actually I have difficulties to find it again. Here we go. So if you could, the idea, I will let maybe Hélène explain a little bit. You want to explain it in more details, Hélène?
Sure. So thank you everyone for this introduction and the presentation of the organizations. So now it's your turn, young peace builder, and we wanted to do it in an innovative way. So to present yourself, please pick up a cartoon that you find appalling in the batch of cartoon that we are sharing on our screen. And just to be clear, this cartoon can be used for any other activities, and it's just for this seminar, please. So we hope you can understand this. And so please, take a cartoon and tell us in a few words why you picked this cartoon, starting with the number of the cartoon you choose, your name and your country. Okay, thank you. And so, Sylvain, you share your screen with the batch of cartoon, maybe in the chat?
I just sent it in the chat. Did you get this PDF file which is in the chat?
Not for the moment, but...
Sorry, it's because it's in my bad. I've shared it with only one person. That's a pity. Well done. Excuse me, everyone. I'm just uploading it again. And sorry for the, it seems that I was sounding a bit muffled. It's because I was putting my my arm on the microphone. It's a bit new to do it online, so I'm sorry. It's it's a bit technical mistakes I'm going to handle for the coming minutes. So now it's uploading. I'm sorry, it takes a bit of time, but we're almost there. Here we go. I don't know if you can see it now.
Yes.
Okay, so if you can just open it, everyone, and then having 1 or 2 minutes to have a look, and then we will come back to you and we will ask each of you. Maybe we'll mention your name, and if you could just tell us which cartoon. And we number the cartoon, so if you could please just tell which number has been you selected, and then I will show it for everyone. Okay. Are you all ready? Did you have the time to have a look? Who says the word agrees? So it seems that everyone has probably got the time because there were quite a few cartoons, but I just hope you had the time. Maybe we can start. I'm starting with Karine Umotoni Wase. I'm sorry if I pronounce it wrongly, but if you could just say your name, say where you come from, and maybe just tell us which cartoon you have picked up.
Thank you. My name is Karine Mutoniwase. I am coming from Kenya, representing Kenya. I picked cartoon number 3 by Jihel from Ivory Coast. So I'm a Rwandan by birth, and I think living in Africa as well, the issue of hate speech and our words either destroying or building is important. So I love that actually portrays that our leaders are killing and destroying with their words and not building for peace. Thank you.
Thank you. So I guess the cartoon number 3, is that right?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. Okay. So the difficulty is that, okay, let me just see, because it seems that the list of people is moving a little bit. I'm sorry for that. I see Abdi Fatah. If she or he could hear me.
Yeah.
Hello.
Yeah, now I'm hearing you.
Thank you.
Okay.
So maybe you're reminding your name and what your country and which cartoon you have selected? We can't hear you. Okay, who's saying that? Can you see my screen? You can all see my screen? The document I'm sharing with you?
No, we can't see your screen, Sylvain. We just see, no.
Okay, I'm doing it again then. Maybe it seems that there is a...
Yeah.
What about now?
Okay, now we do, yes.
Yeah. Maybe if
Abdi
you
Fattah
tell you the
Osman?
number. Mm.
Yeah, I don't know. I can't hear. Maybe your microphone is mute, Abdi Fattah.
Can you increase the size a bit of the document?
Of course. Here we go.
Thank you, that's better.
Abdi Fattah, or maybe we switch to someone else. Maybe then if Abdi Fattah can come back, maybe he has troubles. Hilary Muhimba?
Sylvain?
Yes.
Sorry. People on the chat are saying that they cannot, I think, download it. So maybe can we glancely go through the...
Okay, so maybe we go through, yeah, maybe you,
yes.
okay, so here is the first one. Doing it brief, we have to deal with all the technology and not to go too fast. That's the one that was picked up here. Okay, we are calling Pizarra from Angola. Our colleague Ares was from Cuba. Another one from Ares from Cuba, but on a different topic. One from Emad Ajaj in Jordan. This one is from Mr. Del Rosso from Italy. This one is from Gado, a cartoonist from Kenya. Here it's a GL, a cartoonist from the Ivory Coast. Another one from Pizarra from Angola. Then we have a cartoon from Willy the Kid, who's from the Republic of Congo. Then here, I have to decrease a little bit because it's a vertical one. That's from Alastair, who's with us today. One from Côté, who's from Canada. One from Maureen, who's from the United States. One from a cartoonist who's French but lives in Thailand, Steph. A cartoon from Tayo, who's with us today from Nigeria. One from Shedli, who's from Tunisia. One from Pedro Molina that Kak mentioned earlier from Nicaragua. One from Damien Glé, who's from Burkina Faso. He's French but lives in Burkina Faso. One from Dario from Mexico. One from Lassane Zohore, who's from the Ivory Coast as well. One from Alasatir again, but on a different topic. A cartoon from Falco from Cuba. Cartoon from Thierry de Royaerts, who's from the Netherlands. One from Carlos Guirigou, who's from the Ivory Coast. One from Sherif Arafa from Egypt. One from Zapiro, who's with us as well from South Africa. One from Yemi, who's with us as well from Ethiopia. One from Yangle from Burkina Faso again. One from Fletcho from the Ivory Coast. One from Brandon from South Africa. One from Bado, who's from Canada as well, saying the racist, it's the other one. One from Iran, from Sharok Haidari. One again from Tayo. Another one from Allah. One from Yemi again. And one from Zapiro, again from South Africa. And I think we have the two last ones. The last one from Tayo, from Nigeria. And that's it. I hope it was a long list. I hope it was not too long, but I don't know, maybe Abdi Fatah, you could have a look. You want to just say hi? No? Maybe in next one appearing then is Innocent.
Hello.
Ah, Abdi Fatah. Okay, hi. Please go ahead.
Are you supposed to me to share my cartoon?
No. You can, tell me which one you've selected. If you can tell us, is it easy to tell us? And introduce yourselves. Introduce yourselves. Which cartoon have you selected? Okay. Maybe Innocent, are you there?
I chose the cartoon number 28.
28?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Reason? This one?
The Bureau from South Africa. The one with this Bureau from South Africa.
From South Africa. Children, what do you want to be when you grow up? That's right?
Yeah.
And then the answer is alive. Okay, and why?
Yeah.
Why?
I think the woman is representing Khadija, and she's asking the children, what do you want to be when you grow up? And the child is urgently responded, a leaf. He's just wanna to live in his. I think he's just wanted to live in his entire life. That's the reason why I chose that's the Bureau from South Africa.
Okay, that's an important topic for you. You want to stay alive. Okay, thank you, Abdi Fatah. Maybe I see Tiondi Bosco. I'm sorry, we are struggling with the connection, so sorry if it takes a bit of time. It's the first one. We'll manage that.
I think we can't hear you. You can type your message in the chat box. Tiondi, you can type your message in the chat box if your connection is too weak to speak.
Okay.
And maybe Sylvian, for the sake of time, while people are texting, Marian can read the text and you can proceed for those who are able to speak if they have a good connection. I can see Adur raising his hand.
If you can go ahead, if you want to go ahead, go ahead.
Yeah, thank you so much. I am Odu Felix, Uganda. I've chosen cartoon number 21.
This one?
Cartoon number 21.
From Darío in Mexico.
Yes. From there, we are looking at a monitor, and then there is somebody behind the monitor. and is being prevented from speaking. What this is portraying to me is you should be able to see things, but somebody is not being given a freedom to speak out what they are seeing. That's the representation in the monitor where the hand is blocking the mouth. That is quite similar to cartoon number 29 as I conclude. Cartoon 29.
I'm going to it. Yeah, interesting, yeah.
Cartoon 29. Yes, there we are seeing somebody speaking and still blocking one's mouth. For this particular context, you should listen to what is being said, but for you, you should listen, but you shouldn't speak back, even if it is an atrocity. This is a bad form of violence where freedom of speech is denied. Thank you so much. Odu Felix, Uganda.
Thank you, Felix. Thank you. Apart if Marianne has something to say from someone, maybe we can go to Innocent. Innocent.
Yes, thank you very much. Thank you very much. I'm Innocent Arenit from Uganda. I picked out cartoon number 29 also from Yemi from Ethiopia. Because we see that when people are silent, it's not because they wish to be silent, but maybe somewhere there is a force that is stopping them from speaking out their mind, whether the force that has the power or the force that is maybe located somewhere else. We can see the man holding a microphone is the same man stopping any other person from talking, in particular a woman. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, good. 2 times the same or 3 times the same topic about freedom of expression, which seems important as well. Thank you. So there is Ronaldo. My screen. Next one.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. I'm Ronaldo. I'm Onyonjiro from Uganda.
Go ahead.
I picked a cartoon from Angola. I didn't get the number well, but
the name?
From Angola.
Angola, Pizarra. Yes.
Angola, yeah. Yeah, it demonstrates that even when the people need to express their vigor to have freedom and to have democracy, the policy, all people in government tend to use armed forces to silence the people, which is not really good, because the armed forces are meant to protect people and their property, but you find that they are actually harming people instead of protecting them. So it shows me that when, let's say, a leader is there to give as people are being asked, then it would be fair for us. But you find you're expressing your idea and then the leader tells the army, maybe the police, that please, can you stop that person from anything? So it's really interesting and it talks a lot. Thank you.
Thank you, Ronaldo.
Hi.
This next one, I hear a voice.
And I am Abdullah Hassan Ahmed from Somalia.
Yes, Ahmed, you said?
And I am choosing cartoon number 25.
Yeah. Let's go, 25. Yeah, this one, yeah. Go ahead.
The status.
Yeah, I've got it.
And here it seems to me that people are trying to destroy the status for some people who explored the world.
Yeah.
But they have deep-rooted violence when they were exploring other lands.
Yeah, under the roots of behind the statue.
Yes, it's difficult to destroy them because it causes another violence.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you very much. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you. Welcome.
There was someone else who also picked this one, picked number 25. They put it in the chat box. The name is Iunaloa. I'm sorry if I didn't say it perfectly correctly, but I picked cartoon number 25, Racism. It shows that conquering racism is beyond just removing statues, but racism is deeply rooted and it can be abolished only if it's addressed from the root.
Okay, perfect. Great.
Yes, thank you.
I see. I need Fiona. I'm not mistaken. Sorry for the pronunciation. Raise the hand. I want to see raise the hand as well when you want to speak. Or was that
I can't hear you.
It was you. It was you. I need Buna. That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. And then Resti Nabagala.
Hello, I'm Resti Nabagala from Uganda, where I picked the cartoon number 12. Cartoon number 12.
Number third.
12.
Number 3.
12.
This one?
12,
Ah, 12, sorry, excuse me, I couldn't hear it. It was a bit.
1, 2.
I 12, this one.
Yes, that one. This cartoon like really interested me because I see like in a situation where there is violence in any state, I see that poor are more oppressed than any other person. Because here I see someone who is already well off holding a suitcase and at the same time holding a gun, trying to intimidate the poor who is begging by the roadside.
Okay. Excellent. Yes, thank you very much, Resti. And Corazon Boré. You're on mute. Yeah. Hi.
Hi. Okay, I've chosen cartoon number 4 by Pete Sekara.
Yeah, same as
Yeah.
we already seen. Yeah.
So it depicts Africa. I can relate it to Africa, whereby we have the freedom of speech, there is democracy, but due to police brutality, we can't express ourselves. Our opinions can't be heard by our leaders, and our leaders are so comfortable wherever they are. They want to stay in power as long as they need, hence causing violence in Africa. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay.
So there was Buna, but I think you already spoke, no? Or am I wrong? Regan.
Thank you so much. I have.
Go ahead.
Yes, please.
Go ahead.
I have picked a cartoon. I don't know. I have not picked the number and even the name of country, but there is someone whose head has been cut and it is just filled. Yeah, it is just the head is filled with sharp objects, pangas, knives.
Yeah.
I don't know whether we can. Yeah.
From the Ivory Coast. It's from our colleague from Ivory Coast. And this one.
Yeah, this very one. Yeah, to me, I've picked an information that these people have been oppressed, and after being oppressed, only what they have in their mind is now to rise up and fight for their rights, because they feel they have been oppressed enough, and only what they have in their minds is to pick up the knives, because of what may be the environment or the government or the kind of the leadership. It has fed them with this kind of fighting. So that's what they think, and that's what they have in their mind, that they should rise up and get a tool that can enable them fight for their rights.
Okay, great. Thank you very much. I have Asha Basison.
The first cartoon from Cuba.
From Cuba, yes, it's one of Ares. Yeah, this one.
Yeah, I'm Ashawa Saison from Uganda. We are seeing there is no freedom of expression and freedom of movement, and there is insecurity like the armed personnel are taking advantage of guns to intimidate people. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you very much. Welcome. And Abdi Salam.
Abdi Salam already spoke.
That was in the chat, right? If I'm not mistaken. Okay. Odur Felix.
Odu also spoke.
Odur is the picture disappeared. I'm sorry for that. I'm
Maybe they can raise. Yes, I can see Corazon.
They can raise their hand. Yeah, Corazon already spoke.
Yeah. Okay. So let me lower.
Hilary, I see Hilary. Did you speak, Hilary?
Thank you very much. Am I heard?
Yes, okay.
Yes. Go ahead.
I'm not sure of the number of the cartoon, but it is in the map of Africa.
Yeah, it's the one from you, I guess, no?
Yemi, yeah.
Oh, Yemi, there were two. Yeah, there was this one with the map, and then there was the second one is this one.
Not that one.
This one?
Not that one. The other one
Okay.
with
the one before this one.
That one.
Okay.
This one.
From Tayo.
So out of this, I learned that just the sight of it shows me that there is need for peace with nature. I see nature as symbolism of nature. I think you're on the wrong map. Could you kindly slide to the, is it number 34 or?
It's the 35. The 34 is this one.
I think it was two.
That's 34.
There was
this one
of the grass, the green Africa.
The green Africa. So it means it's
the one with Yemi.
This one,
I
then.
think.
Exactly, this one.
Okay.
Yes, so I see people living peacefully together and working together, living peacefully. And this portrays peace with nature and how we can protect nature as a community. However, we find that this peace is actually destroyed by selfish people who come up and destroy nature and also other issues concerning land struggles. We've seen people dying because they are fighting for certain land, but we are supposed to have community come to protect these resources together, respectively. So that is what I see. And the map of Africa simply symbolizes the culture of communalism that has always lived through the people of Africa. So, and this, I think, should spread to also other parts of the world. Yeah, that is what I had to.
Okay, thank you very much, Larry. Elizabeth?
Hi, everyone. My name is Elizabeth, and I'm Nigerian, and I'm joining from Nigeria. And I picked cartoon number 35 from Tayo, Nigeria. And I think it depicts the politics of concern and response. And I don't know when the cartoon was drawn, but it kind of speaks to something that happened recently, even in Nigeria, right? And how the problems that plague Africa might not necessarily be on the global priority list of concern, you know, and how even the global organizations respond to these concerns kind of reflects this situation. Thank you.
Thank you. Maybe Tayo, you want to remind the date of that cartoon?
Well, hello, thanks for the comments about the cartoon. Cartoon is many years old and is being used many times over the years. I used it in West Africa magazine in the late 90s, but since then it's been used through the years in various publications because what was relevant then is still relevant now, that Africa doesn't seem to be of concern to the rest of the Western world, and it's just drifting away from the world map. So it's always been used from time to time and used in educational books as well, school books, educate about Africa and what it entails to have Africa drifting away, African concern mostly. So it's well spotted, well said, well described, and that was the intention of the cartoon.
Thank you very much. Right. Shadrach. We're almost there, and then we'll switch to the exercise. Shadrach.
Hello. I choose a cartoon by Steph France.
By Steph?
Steph from France.
Yeah. Trying to find it again. I tend to remember where they are all, but yeah, here we go. From Steph.
Steph from France. Yeah, that one. So I chose it, and what I picked from it is people are being brainwashed by the fake news, and it's stirring hatred and violence. For instance, the Americans have perceived people from the Middle East in a certain way. So there is a sort of hatred and conflict between those two people, two races rather.
Okay, so you see Islamic extremism and American on the other side. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Welcome. Where do you come from?
Pardon?
Where do you come from? Your country?
I'm from Kenya.
Okay. Welcome.
Yeah.
Thank you very much, Bramuel.
I picked hello everyone.
Hello.
I'm from Kenya. I picked cartoon number 37, and from my understanding, the cartoon represents the role of leaders, educators, and each department to enhance peaceful coexistence in the continent. Therefore, as educators, we should propagate democracy, good environment, political rights, and so forth, because all these elements build a good continent. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Bramuel. And that's interesting to notice that sometimes on the same cartoon, there are already some different ways to see them, to understand them, to explain them, which is quite interesting, and that's something we'll go through in the coming days. I think Habiba hasn't spoken yet, if I'm not mistaken, and then we have Saliu, and then I think we'll be done. But first, Habiba, if I'm not mistaken. Maybe Saliu, if Habiba is still trying to connect, maybe we can go to Saliu. No one there either. Does anyone else hasn't spoken and wants to intervene? I think there is Iyunulua as well, maybe.
I haven't spoken.
Who hasn't spoken?
Me, Cyprian.
Cyprian, go ahead, Cyprian, then.
Yeah, Cyprian Chenani from Kenya, Mount Kenya University. I chose cartoon number 25, the one with the racism. People putting their hands together to bring down racism. So mainly, I know that in the recent days we have experienced a lot of moments where people are racist. So the cartoon is showing us the importance of putting ourselves together so that we can bring it down. And it's really rooted down with strong elements. But I know if the cartoon representing how we can together bring it down. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Okay, so from the rest of the colleagues, would you like to intervene? I think we have 2 or 3 people. Otherwise, we can switch to the next exercises. But no, Habiba, Saliu. Okay, no worries. You can introduce yourself during the group sessions if you want. No worries. and we will have other time to speak together. So thank you. This introduction was a bit long, but there were some important topics to be covered about violence already. You could grasp a little bit what is a press cartoon and so on, but we will enter into more details. And also, I think the next step will be to introduce the cartoonists because they haven't spoken much, so it's their time now. Maybe as we have been together already for 1 hour and a half, I was maybe suggesting to have a brief break of 5 minutes, then you can start, because you know the technique also on our side, we need 5 minutes to breathe because you know we had to handle all the techniques and so on. So it's if we can just take five minutes, and then we will switch to subgroups, you know, for you to meet the cartoonist and discuss with them. We'll come back to that in a few seconds if you don't mind. Okay, so it's now on my side it's 1:34, but I know we are on different time, you know. But let's say it's 34. Let's say that around at 40 we start again. Okay. Thank you, everyone, and welcome.
Stay in the connection, right? So
yeah, we can remain connected. If you just want to mute and just you know, walk a little bit and have a cigarette, please feel free.
Okay.
Thank you. We are going to prayer also.
So, yes, go ahead, and then we come back at 40. It's okay.
Yes. It's okay.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Chris!
Okay. Is everyone there?
Yeah.
So, since everyone might not be there, just as we said, we have been maybe a bit longer at the beginning, but as you know, that's still a bit new. So in terms of techniques and so on, we still need to figure out a few things. So, but things are going to be really, really well, and we are happy to count on your presence and your attendance. That's very nice, and we're really enthusiastic about what's going on here, and we are really looking forward to see your cartoons after those 2 sessions. So no, I don't know. Maybe we are still waiting for some of the colleagues. So I don't know if I may start slowly, because we say it's 1:41 already, and we still have a few things to see. Maybe if you are there, can you switch on your camera? Then I know that the one who switch on are there.
Me?
Mr. Tayo, Misala. Excellent. Welcome back, everyone. Everyone's back. I still see some screens which are black. I don't know if the people who are back can just switch on their camera, please, for 2 seconds. Maybe we can switch off later on, but then we're sure that you're back and I don't start without you. Great. Welcome back, everyone. Okay. Well, I'll start then, but maybe I will start by leaving the floor already to Hélène, because now we are entering a group session. As we said, there are some skeleton where we are going to be all together, but at a certain point, just for you to interact a bit more, to discuss, because we want to hear from you. This one, we've done it together because it's an introduction, but we really want you to have the time to discuss with the cartoonists as well. So we have split the group into subgroups. And so now I will leave the floor to Hélène, and then Henok, who's helping us with the IT, will generate subgroups, okay? But I'll let Hélène maybe give you the explanation about the exercise we are going to do together now.
Okay, thank you, Sylvain. So for the exercise of this webinar, so what is a press cartoon? You will be divided in subgroup, as Sylvain told you. So please discuss with your groups and the cartoonist in your group to your own definition of a press cartoon. And after this, when we will be in a plenary group, you will share your definition of a press cartoon to the other groups and introduce the cartoon with whom you were talking to the other. Okay, thank you. You have approximately 30 minutes.
So, okay. So you discuss with one cartoonist, we will be with you. He will introduce his work or her work. Then you take notes, and maybe at the end you come with a definition of what is a press cartoon. And also don't forget to write down who is the cartoonist, because you are going to introduce the cartoonist to the rest of the audience. And we will please pick up someone in the group who will be the speaker of your group to the rest of the other groups, okay? Maybe you can handle the subgroup. Is Henok still there? Jerusalem, Marianne? Yeah, Henok is there. Henok?
I'm here, Sylvain. Shall I?
Yes, please switch to the subgroups. Yeah, generate the subgroups.
Okay, so shall we set the breakout session for 30 minutes?
Yes, I think it's fine. Let's do that. Yes, please.
Okay, okay. So Sylvain, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Yeah, so it looks like they have been moved to the groups. So
Okay.
shall
I see a few names
want
who
to
are still
move?
here.
Sorry?
I see a few names still here. I see Habiba, Resti, and Shukri. There are still 4 names we can attribute to the groups, I guess, if it's possible. Shadrach, Habiba, Resti, and Shukri, you still with me?
They have to accept.
They have to accept. Please, the one who are there, Resti, Shukri, Abdisalam, Habiba, could you please accept? Or maybe they are not behind their screen. Okay, let's start. Let's move and in the subgroups, and then they can join. Okay.
Okay, so how about you? Do you want to?
I want to switch from one to another. Can I do it myself? Is it complicated?
I have to assign you to each of the groups, but you just leave the group whenever you want to move to the other.
I want myself just to switch to any of the groups. So you can, if you can attribute me to all the groups, that would be great. Yeah. Otherwise, or just one if it's too complicated.
Yeah, I didn't introduce
No,
myself first, but I work for Cartoon
let me just assign you as the host then.
project manager.
Okay.
That way you.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, and then when it's
So
the
maybe
breakout session is over,
everyone can
you
say
have
one
to
word about what is
assign me
Cartoon,
back
and then we can discuss about it.
Assign you back, you said?
as the host, because
Okay.
yeah,
And how
it's
do I
only
do that? How do I do
Well,
that?
anyone can
if you
start and just say what in
look
one
at
word,
the participants list, you'll have the option when you move the pointer on the name, on my name. You'll
Yeah.
have
Okay. Yeah.
options to assign. When you click on more, the more button.
Yeah.
Yeah, you'll have the option to make that person host.
Perfect. Okay. That's great. Understood.
So I'm going to make you the host now. Let
Thank
me
you.
just assign Bosco to the green. Okay, you'll be the host now.
Thank you.
No problem.
And how do I switch? How do I do to the groups? How can I go to the groups?
Yeah, you'll have the options. You can look at the different breakout rooms.
Yeah, I'll just add that there is
And
no bad
there
end.
are join buttons next to each of the group.
Okay.
You'll have to click on the breakout rooms button at the
So the
bottom.
first answer will be it's an illustration that represents some expression.
Just talk to me if you have any.
Okay, cool. I will do that. Okay, on the chat. Thank you.
It's done, Sylvain.
Okay, I reckon. Okay, I can. Okay, that's perfect.
This case, I suddenly found I was able to use this little joke that had sat with me for 25 years. But I want to say one more thing about this. I often, and I think it'll be useful when you start thinking about your cartoons, I often define my cartoons as conceptual or sitcom. So if you show something as a metaphor, you show something as something else, like the world as a bomb that might blow up for some reason or another. That's often conceptual. If you show this, it's a sitcom, situation comedy that we all know from TV. And then everybody must be kind of naturalistic size. They must all look as if the situation is right. And the joke is in the text. And that's a sitcom. So I just thought that definition might help people as they think about the cartoons.
Yeah, so that's why I switched to this, this slide. Actually, you just mentioned something we've said. Sometimes the cartoons use some techniques, and one of them is the metaphor. And as you said, it can be conceptual. And this time, you see that the bulletproof put on the top of the press, shows or give you the idea of the press being defended or being protected, so it's more conceptual in that. So it's not directly event, as we said, like you can see in the previous cartoons of Zapiro. And that's why here we put it there, because it was relating to a news event. And as you say, it tells something that happens more than showing a conceptual idea, if I'm not mistaken, Jonathan. Yeah, okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you. And yeah, all the drawings generally use the caricature and exaggeration to show something. So as an example, here we have another drawing from Glaze in Burkina Faso that use a target to represent a face. So that's a way to show how, by exaggeration, we can show fact and an event, make understand an event. How we can read a cartoon. There are a few clues that help us to understand the cartoon. And here is an example about violence. We see by one side a drawing from Ares in Cuba that shows a man that is pointing a gun on a woman that is holding a balance of equality. And on the other side, we have a drawing from Tayo in Nigeria, that shows a baby with Boko Haram written and a water gun holding in the arm that looks less violent. And it's two ways of showing violence itself. But maybe, Tayo, you want to add something about your own cartoon.
Sorry, wanted to show me. Go ahead, Tayo.
Yeah, I did this for the BBC. I think we did a special about Nigeria, BBC World Service. So my intention was to do, and at that time, the Chibok girls had been kidnapped by Boko Haram. And I thought how awful that is to kidnap children, and for Boko Haram to kidnap children. And from their history, I thought to myself that they're catching them young, wanting to get them into being involved in violence. So I thought that the best way to portray how horrible Boko Haram is to actually draw a woman who's just had a baby and already wrapped up as the future terrorist of this organization called Boko Haram. And you can see in the hand of the baby, well, if the baby can hold a gun, has a water pistol in the hand. So that was the essence of drawing the cartoon. But I wanted to make a statement with it, and also wrapped the baby with the Nigerian colors of the Nigerian flag as well. So that's saying that unless something is done about this, future children will be raised to be part of the Boko Haram terror groups. That was all my statement about that.
Thanks, Tayo. And I think what we've said, what we did we put those, it seems that a piece of text is missing, but it's also, you see on the left, in my opinion, and once again, everyone can have an opinion, and that's what has been said in some group. One is really direct, and the violence is shown in a direct way as well, with the gun on the head and so on. And then Tayo, I think, in my opinion, you stop me if I'm wrong, Tayo, but you use also a piece of humor in it, you see, to make it less direct also in a way, you put some, the message passes as well, violence passes, but also in a humoristic way. And that's also that's something.
You have to do a mixture of both as well. And also in addition, raise more awareness about how this things is getting out of hand. And if you don't take care, if you're not careful about it, more children will be raised to go this way. Like similar to Zapiro's cartoon that what do you want to be in the future, and says what do you want to be when you grow up? I want to be alive. You see the importance of if they're not raised right, children of today could be violent in the future or could be peaceful in the future. So what we're trying to do is raise the awareness of how important the children also are to the communities, and not just neglect them and think that they're not the future. The children are the future, and we need to now be concerned about their future and well-being as we go along.
And that also reminds me the cartoon that was shown by Marianne at the beginning as well, with the three fishes, when you know, and it starts with the smallest level of it, and you know, and don't start with the word. Think already about the local and what you can do at the local level with the youth, and what you can do as educators and peace builder and so on at your own level as well, trying to grasp and change the mind of people who are just or depressed or you know, this kind of thing. And so that's an interesting point as well. Thanks, Tayo.
Yeah, thank you. And to complete, so we saw that Pure Cartoon can use news event to make references. It can use irony and exaggeration. It can also use historical references, as we can see on this drawing from Yemi. We can see the heavy iron balls that refers to history. And then there is a woman, the first one, that is speaking with a speaker to make, to share her opinion, we can guess. And then there are the clues that give us the clues from which country or which part of the world can take place this situation. And also the expression from the different people represented.
Yeah, maybe me wants to say something, but in my understanding, there was, you know, there are some symbols and elements you can use, and she may be, but maybe she can explain which one I'm referring to there in this cartoon.
When I was drawing this cartoon, the message was very simple. I didn't think of any symbolism, to be honest to you. I just used like the shackles are a representation of like, you know, when you have a lot of things to drag behind you, it's hard to advocate, but these women are doing it even though they're shackled and they have a lot of things they have to fight, but they are actually advocating. That's how I used it. But I also like your way of expressing it too.
Yeah, so that's why, in my opinion, in the graphical style, you see, when I see the speaker, I see a loud voice, but then on the other side, you see the opposite. You see the weight, which is, you know, which is symbolized as well the fact that you are stuck on the other end. So for me, there was an opposition there, but that's the way I understood that. But you know, these elements that can help also to grasp the content. On my side as a viewer, you were the one doing it, so you so in my opinion as a viewer, and sometimes, as we said, there are, you know, we mentioned the metaphor, but there are other techniques that are used. But maybe Annie wants to just briefly to tell them, then we can switch to the next.
Yes. Yeah, so we have different stylistic figures to use humor. We have, for example, the paradox. On the first drawing from London, from Algeria, we can see a polar bear. Yeah, we can see a polar bear with a camel in a desert. Obviously, it's not something possible for now. So that's a paradox. And then we can have the allegory with the drawing of Mendoza from Ivory Coast, with the coronavirus sitting on a human back, and the human can look like a horse. Well, he has the position, and then really the coronavirus is sitting on the back. So that's the allegory, and that the virus is dominating the human. And then we have different ways, like metaphor and irony, that we spoke before. And for example, the drawing from Maureen in USA with a group of people saying, immigrants, go back to where you came from. And then this Indian guy saying, took the word right out of my mouth. That's a funny way to make irony and represent the situation that can be contradictory.
Yeah, that's interesting, because all these words, you know, you speak about, I think it was in the blue group, I heard like the visual representation, that there was exaggeration, there was irony, humor, criticizing, satire. So you see all these elements, you got through them actually during the group. So that's a great thing. And I think that there were even more that was said on your side. So thank you for that. And there is, yeah, the comparison, that's also another way of using it. I won't enter into too many details of this the cartoon, but that's also another idea, comparing different elements, regions of the world, and so on. In this one here, you know, it was the International Children's Right, and it's also important to see how you need to read the cartoon, because here you compare Europe, where actually there is a kid who doesn't want to go to school, the one in Asia who doesn't want to go to the factory, and the one who doesn't want in Africa, he says, I don't want to go to war. And you know, here it sounds a bit, it can be really harsh and really direct, but if you check on the title that there is international children rights and so on, the idea is to compare the fact that there is a reality and he wants to condemn. And I think that's something you've said as well in the cartoon. And this one, I showed it in the Ivory Coast during a workshop, and people were just yelling at me because they thought I was just depicting everyone and children in Africa as being soldiers, and that it was the idea I had of Africa, or the cartoonist head of Africa. But I said, no, take the time to step back maybe and analyze a bit the elements, and you will realize that actually that's the other way around. Actually, the idea is to condemn the fact that they are children's used for war in Africa, when actually there are also kids who have to go to factory in some countries of the world and so on. So that's, but also using the techniques of comparison. And then I would just conclude there, because I think we have taken a lot of time, and we are a bit, we have been slow, even if we are not bad, but there is still an exercise. And I want to ask you first, if you all feel still in good shape to have like maximum 30 minutes of your time. It should have ended in 15 minutes, but if we go over 15 minutes, is it still fine? Otherwise, we can try to move it to next day, but maybe it's good to have this last exercise, then you can keep learning from the cartoonists and discuss with them. Or do you agree with that? You can all knock hand and knock your head if you feel like it. Maybe because you are starting to be exhausted as well. So I'm sorry for that. But then what did I want to say? So, you know, the first exercise was interesting because you discussed, you came with a definition. And I think what was interesting, you already came into all the elements of a cartoon and what can be used, the tricks and so on. So it was really interesting discussion you had. And I think something that was said as well is that the cartoonist may have an idea of what he wants to express, or she wants to express an opinion, an idea about a news event or society topic. But there is also the viewer, and the viewer can have another understanding of the cartoon, can see it differently, and can, you know, depending on the background and this kind of things. So that's important to keep in mind, that the cartoon, there is the person doing it, but there is a person receiving it. And in our mind, what is it important to go through all these elements of context, the elements of the techniques that are used and so on, the references that are made? It's because it can lead to misunderstanding if you don't take sometimes the time to read it. And that's, in our opinion, something which is important, has become more and more important. Also, as Yemi said, it's digitalized as well. And so on the global world, there are things we don't have the same concept, let's say contextual understanding of some events. And so that's important as well, to step back and check maybe what I see first and what I analyze from the symbols, the characters, the facial expressions, the stereotypes. You know, sometimes it looks really exaggerated and you say, wow, it's shocking. But then take the time to understand why it was exaggerated as well, maybe. What do I understand? What's the topic covered? You mentioned that because you speak about the news event and so on, and everyone mentioned that as well. The context of publication, we saw that with the cartoons of Zapiro. You know, it was an event in 1996, and Tayo also put in context his cartoon about Boko Haram. He came back to the time when he drew it for a specific reason at that time, which is not probably the same, maybe the same 10 years later, we don't know actually, but it was relating to a news event. So there is an important geographical and historical context to keep in mind. Where does a cartoon come from, and even the cartoonist comes from, and what's the message the cartoonist wants to convey. And as you said, there is an opinion, there is something sometimes a bit subjective, even if the event it's an opinion, even if the events are objective and the elements are objective, maybe they give their opinion as well. And so that's important as well, to think about what was the message of the cartoonist. And then if you have all these elements, that's your opinion, you can maybe, I think, pronounce or develop an opinion about it, which may differ to the one of the cartoonist, of course. There is no obligation to think like the cartoonist thinks. But if you have taken the time to have a read of it, you may have a more constructed opinion as well, which can be helpful as well to understand the cartoon. Because as you said, that's immediate, but on the other side, you know, sometimes you require a bit more. Some cartoons are really direct, we said, and some others require a bit of reading and go through a bit of elements. So to stop talking, and if everyone agrees, we wanted to have a final exercise, but that's also, again, that's a free speech, but we wanted to go through Or maybe Jerusalem, you wanted to say something, I think.
Yes, I can see from the text that few people are asking to end within 15 minutes time. So
okay,
maybe can we make it a kind of plenary by projecting 1 or 2 cartoons, or can we take it to the next session as an assignment? Or can we see the hands for those who wants to remain for the next 30 minutes?
But the idea is not to, maybe, you know, because I see that maybe we'll go with one, maybe we'll do it 5 minutes in plenary.
Yes, okay.
With one cartoon of Allah, maybe.
Yeah, okay, maybe.
Sorry, with one cartoon from Allah, because we've seen a few. Maybe Allah, would you like one I could use? And maybe if you tell me to stop. And then we will ask the people to make this exercise briefly of what do I see, what do I understand, what's my opinion. And maybe we'll have 1 or 2 people who can express, and not just for the rest of the group, and then we will conclude because it takes a bit of time. Allah, which one would you like me to? Maybe this one? I think, yeah. Allah, do you agree? Okay, so with this cartoon, the exercise briefly would be, if you could analyze the cartoon, all of you, and answer to these 3 questions. Why do I see? What do I understand? And what's my opinion about it? And maybe we'll pick up someone, or if someone feels like giving an opinion, we will raise, but not more than 1 or 2, because then we can end the exercise, because we want to conclude before leaving. Okay, thank you very much. And sorry for the delay again. We're leaving you 5 minutes, and not more, 2 minutes if you want. 3 questions. What do I see? What do I understand? And then what's my opinion about it?
Can you make the cartoon bigger? Okay.
Maybe that way?
Yeah, that's fine. Okay. Thank you.
Okay, maybe. I don't know if anyone is ready. We had 4 speakers on the first session. Maybe someone else wants to speak about that cartoon.
Is anyone, or is it anyone, or Steven?
I think anyone. I don't want to.
I could say something about it.
Please go ahead. Who's that?
This is Hilary Muhimba from Uganda.
Please go ahead, Hilary.
On analysis of this cartoon, I see the word "stay home, stay safe," which is a symbol of the current situation or affected by the pandemic. And one of the ideas is that people should actually stay home in order to be safe. However, there is an overview of the consequence, the negative effect of staying home. Generally, not only just because of the fact that you're staying home, but generally because of the whole pandemic that seems to oppress this one person who is on this specific part where they say that not for one, that one person it's hard for someone to come out and explain to everyone that, look, I am staying home. It seems like everyone is okay with this, but it's not going on well with me. I have bills to pay, but there is no way I can do it. Everyone is out. See the buildings surrounding. There is a lot to do, but you can't do anything because you have to stay home and stay safe. You can't go to work outside. You cannot. You are compressed. You cannot be free. Like you can't move. You cannot live socially. Like it has affected the systems of society that we have to totally be detached from the community. So that is one thing that I see here.
Thank you. Actually, I wish to, let me see, I will, because Ala had troubles with her laptop, so I'm just going to connect to my WhatsApp and I will tell her what was just said.
Can I contribute to it?
Sorry?
Can I contribute or?
Of course, go ahead. Okay.
I think because we're both in London, I think this has to do with a Grenfell, which I kind of like that contribution, because cartoons have various interpretations and could mean so many things to so many people at different places and different times as well. But I think this has to do with the Grenfell Tower, the towering inferno, where about over 70 people died. And they're saying that people should stay, because as of now, even in England, most of those high-rise buildings, they see them as not safe, and it's getting people worried about living in them. So I feel that that's another interpretation which Allah was trying to put across, that you're telling people to stay safe and stay at home, but you're telling them to stay at home in tower blocks that are deemed unsafe at the moment. So that's a very good, that's my understanding of what that cartoon is all about. But like I said, it can be interpreted in so many ways, which still makes it a very, very good cartoon.
Sylvain, may I say something? You're muted, by the way, Sylvain. Okay. May I say something? Because if Allah is not able to speak herself, can I introduce something which I think she may be saying? I certainly interpreted it like this. I saw the primary thing was stay home, stay safe, and I immediately saw that's a woman, and not for me. And for me, this is about gender-based violence. I felt, and I'd love to know what Allah intended, but I immediately saw the pathos, the sadness of stay home, stay safe, maybe safe from the virus, but she's not safe in her own home from gender-based violence. That was my interpretation of it. I don't know if that's what she intended, but it's very powerful.
Yes, I have a unique interpretation. Yes. So I for one saw it as somebody in an urban area, and while everyone has been told to go home, stay safe in this COVID-19 period, there are people who don't have homes. There are people who are homeless. They don't have where to go. So this person is like, you're telling others to stay home, stay safe, but I don't have a home. And most of the time, the homeless tend to benefit from physical interaction from people who are sympathetic towards them. So when we are forced to stay home, they fail to get the help that they need. And equally, there are underlying issues here. This is someone who is ideally living in an urban area that people assume has people with a high economic status, state of life. And this person doesn't seem to have that, and equally looks sick. So there is poverty here, there is illness here, and a low standard of living.
Okay, thank you, Mariam. I won't take too much of the time because there were people who wanted to leave, so I don't know if she heard everything, but they said a reference to the COVID, and then there were people before you started who said they wanted, with the not for me, it was for the inconvenience of the situation of COVID as well. And I'm just summarizing briefly. I heard as well the idea of there is no homes for some of them, so it's not necessarily for everyone. And Jonathan as well, I think it's a gender-based violence, related it to gender-based violence, made reference to that. If I missed something, maybe tell me. But then I don't know, Allah, what maybe you wanted to express through that cartoon.
It's basically was done.
Can you hear everyone or not?
Yes, we can hear her.
Yes, we can hear.
Go ahead.
Okay, so it was to reference the rates of the sexual violence that was going on in homes because of the lockdown. The cases of sexual violence was increased, and there were a lot of cases reported. Even in Sudan, there was a campaign to stop sexual violence or to find ways to help women who are being abused in their homes and having no other way to leave their homes because of lockdown. So yeah, I wanted to reference that, but it was really interesting to hear everyone's how they read the cartoon, because also I think Miriam, the one who pointed that it could be about also people are not having homes or being very vulnerable and subjected to the virus, that it's staying home doesn't apply to them because they are in a vulnerable situation where they don't have homes or shelters. So that's also was a very unexpected. I didn't see this I didn't think about this when I was drawing it, but it was really nice to hear a different way to read the cartoon. But it was basically about sexual violence, against women specifically.
Okay, but so it's nice. I think it's really nice. Thank you, Alain, very much. It's really nice to end up with this exercise because it explains a lot of things we have just said about also the interpretation we may have. So that's why also it's important. And even you see, even Alain didn't see the same thing as Mariam, for example, saw and so on. So that's interesting to remind. There is the intention of the cartoonist who just try to express something. And as we said, there is also the way you can interpret it based on your background and so on, and then your sensitivity and so on. And that's something that was said during the group exercise from the blue group. It came from the blue group. I remember that definition as well. Artists may have an idea and viewers also, and they will be affected differently depending on a lot of subjective, emotional aspects, knowledge. So that's something we've said. So we can have different interpretation as well of cartoons. Also, that explains that it's important to take the time to read it and try to understand the elements that compose it and really link it to an event and so on. So yeah, just a good summary actually to end up this session. We will just then conclude and we will pass this exercise. Maybe we'll try to have it to do it next week, but. I think that's exactly what I've just said. It's particular drawings. They can be used for different ways. We say education, awareness raising, and so on. There are often opinions, and we also have to accept that there are different opinions because we can read it in a different way. That's why we say in Cartooning for Peace, there is this principle of my opinion, your opinion, and the intention of the cartoonist. But that's also important to respect the opinion of others. And also because some cartoons are immediate and universal, some others require a bit more reading probably, and then you have to go deeper into what you see and what you understand maybe before having maybe an opinion. It doesn't mean that you can't react emotionally, but maybe it's good to step back sometimes to just have a look. And as we said, the cartoonists also, and that's something that came up a lot, and they can interrupt me, but they want to raise awareness about topics, about events and dysfunctions, problems, using a lot of tricks, references, and so on. And something that has been said, and we sometimes tend to forget it even on our side. It's also made to make love as well, and it's done to make react, but also that's why the humor is also essential and take a bit of distance when events are really complicated to handle and so on. And we've seen that in France, and during the pandemic, the cartoons have been used a lot in newspapers and so on to that bring a lot of humor about the pandemic and so on. And we really felt that the sense of humor was required in those difficult times for everyone as well. So that's also something we shouldn't forget. We should keep laughing and, handle things with a bit of humor as well, because that helps as well to go over it in a way. So we'll just finish briefly with homework, because it's not like you have spent so many times with us. There are still homeworks for next week. It's an easy one. It's not mandatory, but it's also, Marianne already said that it's nice if you start thinking about the different questions, but we have another question. And maybe Helen, you want to go through that one just to end up?
Yeah, sure. So to prepare the second session on the 27th of November, please, could you think of a cartoon for a campaign and why we are using cartoons for a campaign? And if you identify a cartoon for a campaign, what type and what topics of a campaign would you like to speak about? So it's for the next session, and awaiting the next session on the 27th of November. Please enjoy the material at your disposal, and you can also visit the Cartooning for Peace website and ICBA website, and our social networks pages. Links are shared in the next slide. And if cartoonists are agree, they can also share links to their Facebook page in the chat, so that you can visit their page too and enjoy their work. Thank you very much for your participation in this first webinar.
Thank you very much. Marianne?
I want a soft one, very soft.
You want to say something?
Yes. Maybe Marianne, as a conclusion.
Yes. Yes, I think we're finished now. Thank you so much, Sylvain, to the other members for Cartooning for Peace, Anne and Helene, and to the 4 cartoonists who came today. We appreciate so much you, Yemi, Ala, Tayo, Zapiro. Thank you so much for your insights, for your observations. Also want to thank Jerusalem for all the collaboration, and also Henok for the assistance for the technology. And the biggest thank you goes to all the participants, all of these young peace builders, these fledgling cartoonists. You brought a lot of energy and eloquence to all your responses today. And I think that if past is prologue, then I think we can expect Friday's session and the exhibition to go even better, or at least as good as today has gone. So we do have our round 2 on Friday. So we hope to see all of you there the same time on Friday. Use the same link as before. I know some of you reached out to me that you were having problems accessing the link and you were emailing me during the first like half an hour of this event. Could I request you to try to log in 10 minutes early next time, a few minutes early, and just make sure the link is working. Test it out to see if there's any problems ahead of time. But same time, same link on Friday, November 27th. And again, thank you so much. We're looking forward to seeing the cartoons you create and then exhibiting them in an online exhibition. And it's going to be a great advocacy. So your voice will get out through your artwork. So please do take part in the other remaining day. It's building towards something really great. Thank you so much. If there's anything else from Jerusalem or Sylvain or anyone else, I think now's the time. Otherwise, I think we'll call it an afternoon.
My side, just want to thank everyone. Thank the cartoonists, thank the participation from everyone. We've been really, it was the first time we were meeting each other, and then you were really into it directly. You really, you were not too shy. You were not waiting for us. It was really interesting and interactive, and that's really great to see that. Thanks to the cartoonists who have been as well with us. It's really nice. They're also really busy, and so that was really great. Thank you for the organization from Marianne and Jerusalem. Thank you to Henok as well for handling all the technical aspects. I was so scared about it from the beginning, so it's nice that he was there as well to support us. And so yes, we hope seeing you on Friday, because many more, we are going to talk less and leave you more space next time and more exercises next time. So keep being with us, and next time it will be your turn as well to draw. So that's also an interesting exercises that we are going to set up next time. So I hope seeing you all next time on Friday. And thank you very much.
Bye.
Okay, everyone. So bye. Have a
Bye.
See you on
Friday,
everyone.
Bye.
See you on Friday. Bye.
Bye.
Bye
everyone.
Okay.
Bye.
Bye everyone.
Bye.
Can we stay or?
Yes,
Sylvia?
yes, I think so, Jerusalem.
Yeah.